welcome to the first ever sprint episode of Why We Do It. And that's not the only first we've got here, because we've also got our first returning guest. Dave Caldwell was on episode 7. He's the founder of the Global Extreme Triathlon Group. He's also a Pentland Triathlon member, so we've got the Pentland Triathletes logo up there for our club episodes. And Dave has just recently done the incredible first ever Mount Etna live volcano triathlon in Sicily, and is joining us to give us a sprint episode update on that race. Dave, how are you?
I'm good. Classic first week back. I'm eating like a horse and I'm forgetting all the bad stuff.
Brilliant. Exactly what happens after a long ultra. But remember, this is a sprint episode, so we've got no time for messing about in the transitions with things like suntan cream and changing clothing and having a 3-course meal. Bish, bash, bosh. 3 questions. Tell us about the race overall. Tell us about the backstory to the race, which I think is quite interesting, and then also how you got on in the race yourself last weekend. So first up, tell us about the overall layout of the race.
Okay, it was a half and a full distance. I was doing the half, so it's a 2.5 kilometre swim across the bay that you see in front of you. It's then a 75 kilometre bike up and around Etna, which is 75 kilometres and 2,200 metres of elevation gain. And then you end up with a 22 kilometre trail run, which is getting 1,000 metres of ascents and quite a bit of descent in there as well. Almost totally off-road in conditions like you're seeing in front of you.
Brilliant. So what's that overall distance then?
Overall distance, so 2.5k plus 75k plus 20k. So
okay, so
I'm not sure if I can do the maths this early.
Overall, yeah, but some pretty extreme trail and climbs and things like that. Not a standard flat kind of 100k overall. So we'll get into that when we hear your story. But tell us about the backstory here. This is the first ever one of these races on a live volcano as well, first time ever. How did this race come about for it to be the first race?
Sure. So it probably started about 3 years ago when the race organizer, Luca Mancuso, reached out to me in the Global Triathlon Group. And basically saying he had this kind of crazy dream. So we've been working with them. Sean from the team was working them a lot closer than me, but I was helping the last few months getting it prepped up. So it was basically part of what the group do, as well as having all the members. We look after about 4,000 around the world. We also list about 98 races. So this was Luca bringing his race in with 2 distances into that. So we had 5 members of the global team there actually racing as part of this, as well as helping them out.
How many people altogether were taking part?
Say that again?
How many people altogether were racing in this?
So it was a good first edition. We had 40 athletes. So there was 12 in the full distance and 28 on half distance.
So great. I hadn't actually fully appreciated you were directly involved then. I thought you were just really showing up as a keen participant, given your role in the group. But you part of the planning, part of the organization, part of dealing with the main organizers to help this happen through your global group.
Yeah, we were talking about the design. I was helping with the communication side of things. Sean McFarlane, who's in the group as well, was a lot more closely involved. He went out to do test races, but I've been working with Luca, probably speaking to him at least once a week in terms of just nailing it towards it. So yeah, no, it's been really interesting.
Cool. So we'll talk about how you got on now, and if we've got time, we can come back to some other bits. But so talk us through the race. I mean, an amazing setting, amazing scenery, and an early start by the looks of it. I guess this picture is the finish of the swim, is it? So it's still
that's
dark.
me in the center. You see the guy with the hoop suit with the red arms. That's me there, looking into the darkness.
Yeah. So talk us through how you got on the swim and then the bike and then the run. It was a long day out, from what I saw on the tracker.
Yeah, it was 12 3/4 hours in all, which is a hell of a long time for a half distance. As you can see, it starts in the pitch dark. So one of the things for me is kind of mentally shutting down any fear on that and just getting in the water. What was beautiful about it was the fact that the sun rose actually during I was in the swim. So it was an hour to do 3K. So you're swimming with other athletes, with delighted boys as the sun rises. It was just beautiful. Pardon me.
And looking at this scenery here, I mean, there's a daylight view and with your bike ready to go, and that what an amazing setting that is right there.
It was beautiful. I was very lucky with the hotel room and the hotel place. And the race actually did a discount on the room charges, so I did very well out of it.
Good. So then we get into the bike,
Bike,
and tell us how
yeah.
you got on with that.
So, as I say, it's 75 kilometers. The first 40 kilometers, or the first 50 kilometers, 40 kilometers are probably just kind of a 3, 4, 5% average gradient. It was interesting seeing the chat on Spawned in terms of how slow it was going. It's because it was basically uphill. It was then 10
That's very
kilometers
rude of
downhill.
people. That's sorry to interrupt, but that's very rude of people following you on trackers, making comments like how slow you are. I think actually it was more to do with the tracker mixed your swimming with your bike ride up,
yeah,
and
I think they
that's why
thought
it
that
looked
the
like you were
swim was
going a
in
lot
it,
slower.
but I think it's just recognising that it's basically a long uphill struggle, and it's beautiful through vineyards and towns and stuff like that. Then there was a 10-kilometer downhill, which I hit 72 kilometers on, just trying to get my time
Wow.
back. And then the 15-kilometer, final 15 kilometers is 900 meters of elevation gain, and that just broke me. I'd done hard training, but nowhere near enough to do with that. Actually, a kilometer from the top, I was sick. I was pushing so hard on that front.
And this is a very technical question. I wasn't expecting to ask, but just thinking about that, did you consider changing your gear sets and kind of setting your bike up for that kind of a climb?
So the gear set I'd already extended, as you can probably see there. It's quite a wide gear set, but I think it was as much a reflection of my training. So I was doing the Pentland circuit, which is 900 meters of elevation over 80k. I was using my big heavy mountain bike for my commuting to build up the legs, but to actually have going on that uphill for 2.5 hours, constant pressure, it was just training that hadn't really kind of quite factored in. And my nutrition was just not settling down because of the pressure on my core and my stomach as well. So honestly, about 5 kilometers from the top, I was done with the race. I was done from doing any of these races again, a classic thing, but mentally, and it's a transferable skill for the other athletes as well, is you just break it down into bite-sized chunks. What's the next 5 kilometers? What's the next kilometer? What's the next bend I'm going for?
So, and then you still had to do the run, a trail run in the hills, and you're pretty much broken already. You've been sick finishing the bike. Talk us through the run itself.
Yeah. So I was definitely ready to stop, and it was Luca himself that met me in T2, and the big puppy dog eyes. He was helping me get changed, and I thought, I can't let this guy down. And so I got through transition and got into the run, and it's quite good because it's 8 kilometers slightly downhill to start off with. You're going through woods and things like that. Beautiful place. And I was trying to do a little bit of kind of running in that, but I was starting to retch again. So I then knew this was going to be a hiking game. So yeah, then you came out of the forests and you're up into the lava fields, and you've got the volcano actually smoking above you. So I just pushed at it, and again, it was just knocking off the kilometers. There was one point where it was just so beautiful that I decided to phone my family. So both my boys picked up on the WhatsApp video, had a wee chat with them, showed them the scenery, and also did the same with Col Barber as well, because he said, "Oh, Dave, I'd love to come." And I thought, let's get him in here. So I kind of did that. And I've got to say that I was kilometre by kilometre, and I was in pain. I could not take any nutrition on at all, and I had forgotten that it was not 20 kilometres; it was 22 kilometres. So when I realised that, the mental crash I had was significant.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's when you're struggling that much. That's hard. And what about weather and heat? What did that have an impact?
So no, it was okay. It had been about 28 degrees down at the water, so it's 21 degrees. One of the things interesting enough to swim was the water's quite warm. So there was a whole conversation in terms of whether we kind of chop the arms and legs off our wetsuits. Decided to go for it, but I went from a lightweight hoop suit, which is not good. It's really tight on the throat and tight on the arms as well. So that kind of affected my swim, but got through it. So answer your question, it gets colder the higher you get up the mountain, so it was fine. And also the climb that I was worried about was sheltered by trees, so I wasn't getting the direct sunlight on as my body was heating up as well. And up there, it was nice. I just stayed in my tri-suit the whole race.
Right, brilliant. Final question, just around top tips for anyone else thinking about doing this race in future, or other extreme tries. And obviously episode 7 with you talk about all the other things you've done, Norseman, Keltman, Sahara Man, all sorts of wild stuff through your group, but lots to talk about on that chat we had with you before. But top tips for people thinking about this in the future?
So I think very much you just see how beautiful it was. If someone twigs inside and you want to do these things, it's entirely doable. There are races and half distance races that are less extreme in terms of this. Etna itself is twice the minimum except the ascent criteria for actually doing these races. So this is at the top end of the most difficult ones, but you do the likes of the Keltman solo. So start easy, start small, and just take it bit by bit. That's really what I would kind of say on these fronts.
Brilliant. Dave, we're out of time. I told you this flies. Thank you so much. Excuse me. Thank you so much for joining us, for talking us through this in our first sprint episode. We're going to play out with a little bit of a clip from you finishing eventually. What was your time overall again? It was a long day.
12 hours 45.
Okay. And what time of the day was this? It's dark in the finish. What time was this?
Yeah, it was about 5:30, 6 p.m. from a 6 a.m. start.
Okay, so here you are in the dark, you're finishing, and thank you so much for joining us. We may see you again soon to do another one of these sprint sessions when you've done your next crazy thing, whatever that may be. Do you have a plan for that? Anything lined up?
I've got a few kind of ideas on this front, including one that's got the toughest swim in the world. So
okay, well, we look forward to catching up on that in due course. Dave, thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Cheers, Jim.
Dave Caldwell, you're the greatest. 3-time with your armor. You could say it, you did it. You're the best.